All right, the recording has started, and we're live. Okay. All right, so our agenda for the day, we've got our 3 normal items to cover: open items, our digital event tracking, and onboarding and tracking as well. I also wanted to review with you today the process documentation structure. So those are just the tabs and then subcategories. My plan is to review the actual content of that next Monday in a really long 2-hour sync, but today I'll give you a chance to at least look at that. I actually printed it off for you, so you can take a look and scribble down some notes if you'd like. The focus of that is just to make sure that I'm tracking to all the right stuff. Obviously, I have a pretty good idea about what I'm doing day to day and what I've done and maybe what's important to share, but I just wanted to make sure that I'm hitting that really accurately. In addition to that, I want to talk a little bit with you about some of the communication surrounding my roll-off, wondering kind of how you want me to approach that in terms of contacting people. And then the last one, as we talked about last Monday, was just the messaging around the redesign when we unveiled that. I have a couple of suggestions to make, kind of similar to what we did for GDPR, but obviously focused for the redesign, and maybe a couple extra things that could make that unveiling a really cool aspect of the experience on MPC. All right, so for open items, you have your meeting with Jason on December 10th. That's today, obviously. Did you meet with him already, or you have yet to?
Yeah, we had a call this morning.
Okay.
He is excited about thought leadership and potentially February as the date. So I'll follow up email plan to him, and then he will indicate what his availability is and that sort of thing. But yeah, he's very excited. He had listened to the previous cybersecurity AMA that partner hosted in late August, and really liked it, and has some content that he was excited about in terms of his work with the government as his primary customer. And so, so he's on board to do it. He just wants to check out some other examples and then put together some materials. Okay, so he will be considered for the February Thought Leadership Series. That's kind of the focus for it. Cool.
Awesome. Sweet. For Ask Me Anything, so I guess let me back up really quickly. For Jason, is there anything else? I know that I want to help you prep as much as I possibly can for the upcoming events that I won't be a part of, obviously. Are you planning on meeting with him again before the, I guess, 21st would be the last day?
Not necessarily. I just need his information, so his picture, his bio, the content, things of that nature. I'm not certain he's going to be able to get it done. He did mention having travels for both personal holiday stuff and for
work.
Business between now and the end of the year.
Okay. That wraps that up. Thank you. For Ask Me Anything, we're in a really good spot with that, actually. We've got the one with John Mile happening in about 9 days. The January one is actually already solidified. So you had the note about Melissa. I don't know why. I always mix them up. So I had put down contact Melissa M for Ask Me Anything for January, and you're like, what the heck is that? What is she? How is she involved? It was just a mistake. I had it as Jennifer. I did, I don't know why I keep mixing them up, because their names are very different. But
who was Melissa?
Melissa Mulholland.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, don't know why. Don't even ask. So we're in a good spot with both of those. The postings have been made. Amplification requests have gone through. And then they just kind of have to happen. So I feel good about kind of where we are with that. If you wanted, did you have any interest in kind of wanting to, in the next couple of weeks, try and solidify someone or identify someone for February?
Potentially.
Okay.
I want to get closer to Deanna and Jenny on
the editorial calendar.
Yeah.
With
some of the themes I pulled from Deanna's editorial calendar and put into the influencer slide.
Yeah, I just had Diana add me to that so I could look at it. The posting that you had, and I saw that, so that'll be good. Cool. And then I saw that you were slated to talk on the 13th to the influencers. I got added to those meetings as well. I'll just attend for your portion and make sure that everything goes okay with that, or at least I can help in any way if I need to. My guess is nothing really has to be done with this in terms of like being creative and coming up with details and logistics until we have a better idea, maybe visibility on when we're going to start the influencer takeover event. Do you expect that to be in January or more February?
Actually, I had a call with a partner on Friday named Rob, who's one of the influencers. He had followed up with Diana and Jenny, or he had followed up with Jenny on a particular item about some ideas he had about community and another thing that was discussed on the previous influencer call. And so then Jenny looped in Diana and I into that. And so I had a call with him on Friday, and he seemed pretty excited to either do the influencer takeover or thought leadership series with the company.
Cool.
And so I think that we'll be fine getting a couple of folks. I think it's more of the structure of where you will actually land once they're in the influencer takeover. What's the area, the particular the logistics of what it looks like from the partner influencer side, and not necessarily the partner or MPC member who's experiencing the takeover.
Gotcha. I see what you're saying. Okay, so would it be something similar? Would you expect to how we run our events now? And the content would go in there. I know that's mostly where our amplification posts go to attend the live events, but since we're giving them the option of posting original content or reposting something that they see that's relevant, like a news article, maybe that could be there.
We'll have to look at creating some kind of area or forum or whatever called influencer takeover that's in that same events area.
Okay.
Since they don't have that specific event. Influencer community more, because to Jenny's point from our meeting last week, that's why they created the team, so they can have those private conversations.
I was going to say, because the location was going to be private in MPC anyway, and people wouldn't be able to go to it. Okay. Well, as the next couple weeks happen, if it makes sense for me to help make those or just support in any way, obviously you know that I'm still ready and available to do that. So, cool. So that covers off on digital events. For communications, I still have the status report up there. It's only actually serving the purpose right now of reminding me so I can put it in my process documentation. Right. I'm not sure how that will carry over once I'm out, but I have it up there. I just wanted to preface that because I know that you said that it's not happening in December. So I didn't want you to think that I was listening to you, just that it's there for my reminder.
Yeah.
For the newsletter, did you send out the November newsletter?
I'm drinking water.
You're sorry. You're fine.
So that newsletter, I've decided what I'm going to do is have a quarterly version of that, similar to how we have our quarterly MBRs with Toby.
Okay.
And so that's going to be quarterly. I got really swamped with a lot of things. I needed to update a lot of the content in the newsletter to change. These things have already happened because of the date it was going to be sent. And so since I was still working on that, I know Kathy, you and I had talked about that briefly last week sometime as well. And so then I was looking at a lot of the communications coming out in Toby's org. I was saying that one day there were 6 different people
you told me that.
newsletters on the 30th. And so then I was like, I'm going to wait for the next week. And then there were a lot of things that I wanted to update in the newsletter. And so then I was like, this is going to be, what it's going to turn into is kind of MPC Insights Q2 review, roundup, whatever we want to call it, so that it's capturing all of the information between October and December.
Okay. And so then that kind of influences my second question about the December newsletter, is that the November one is going to kind of be adapted to have a bigger scope, pretty much, which may include December as well, so we won't send out that individual.
Especially because it's shorter month.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I would say the send date for that will be sometime next week. Okay. After this Friday, actually.
And then same thing on that, if you need me to support in any way with editing or providing more content or even just doing some kind of first initial passover work, please send it my way.
Look at doing is with the data part of it, doing an entire Q2, so October 1 up into the day that it's sent, looking at numbers from that, so changing that.
Totally. Okay.
And then adding in more information about the October events that happens, the AMA, and then the November events as well. And you know what? Now that I think about it, the way that I'm thinking about this in my head and the framing of it, this is going to inform the date because I want to wait until after John does his AMA to include that information in the newsletter as well. So cool. Maybe somewhere around the 19th, 20th,
we'll
or
update
maybe the
it
21st for the newsletter to be sent.
Okay, cool. Okay, so I'll be primed and ready just to update around then if need be. Cool. Did you see I forwarded you an email this morning? It was an update from the portal where they're tracking the ticket, and it was I mean, it was the same thing. No, we don't have any information for you yet, but I just decided to send it your way so that you could see that I was getting them still.
Yeah.
We've generally gotten an update every Monday, but the update has been no update.
Right.
So I don't, we've generally brought it up on Monday afternoons with Michael and Austin's. I don't know if we necessarily need to do that this time around, just because we didn't get the success that we really want. So that's where we are with that. All right, skipping over to the next slide. So for ideas feature, obviously that's part of the redesign, and that's kind of being owned now by the engineering team. My hope was that we could get an update on kind of where they were at today in the meeting at 3. It sounds like that the meeting is kind of serving that purpose in a halfway kind of way. We usually have some items to talk with them about, but then mostly it's just, hey, how are we doing on the redesign stuff? So I'm planning on asking about that. For community onboarding, at least particularly around IMCP, sounds like we're just kind of tabling that with the idea that it's not really going to happen. That's redundant. I know we talked about it last time, but I'm just calling that out again. I don't know if you want me to do anything with the email thread with Rajesh. I know we talked about that last time as well, trying to find the person. I know he brought in that other woman to the email thread.
Melissa Mulholland?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the other woman.
Okay, I was hesitant on saying her name because I made the mistake a few times already.
Melissa is manager.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Melissa, I can say with confidence.
That is Melissa. Same person.
So my guess still is just to kind of leave that. I don't want it to be lost when I leave, since I know I'm kind of tracking it in my email. So what I was actually planning on doing is adding a section to the process documentation of not like unfinished items, but just items that are still kind of in progress that will be in progress once I leave, and that probably will be included in there.
Yeah. This community onboarding piece, or just the particulars with Rajesh, can be recorded in the same community onboarding documents and communication where you have like the spreadsheets and so forth.
Okay.
And Melissa's information can just be added.
Okay. Cool. And then in regards to some of the tracking things that we're doing, obviously with the focus of onboarding, but these are in particular about the communities that we're tracking in the PowerPoint. For the low-hanging fruit communities, obviously we had one person, Raditya, attend our demo last week, and we had I think 6 or 7 or something that said that they would attend. So I wanted to talk a little bit about a follow-up action around that. And then maybe suggesting one as well. I thought it might be a good idea to follow up back to all of those people on the original email with the recording, and just kind of with the statement of, hey, here's the recording of the overview and demo. Please, take a look and follow up with any questions you might have. Would still love to connect with all of you, or something along those lines. So we're still having some type of follow-up action with that. And then I thought it might be also a good idea just to send Roddy a personalized email of just, hey, thank you for attending. And since he was interested, I know that he had only started his job like 2 weeks before we talked to him. So I don't know how much he's going to be working on this or how much this is in his radar. But it might be nice just to send him a follow-up email of just, hey, thanks for attending and look forward to working with you in the future or something.
All of those people who are on this invite, that's the other beauty about doing things in teams, they're still in the teams. So they can,
they're still there.
Yeah.
They could see the recording.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So we're all there. They can see the recording. They can see the conversation that we already had. They can choose to stay in, to leave, that sort of thing.
Okay.
So that's what really cool feature about Teams. We can just go in here and like, hey, as a reminder, like the recording's here for people to consume. Roddy did send me an email afterwards that I need to follow up on.
Oh, nice.
Just talking about further engagement, wanting to learn more about MPC, and so I have a mail to follow up with him on from when he sent at the end of last week.
Okay.
But yeah, so the re-engagement piece could be as straightforward as
easy as just typing back in there. Okay.
And then they'll all automatically get a ping.
Okay. So maybe what I'll do is I'll draft something. Do you want me to do that, or do you want to just I could draft something as just a suggested comms, and then you can kind of tweak it around and send it in, or do you want to just do that yourself, or just want me to just
you can just
type something in?
Hey, as a reminder,
whatever,
right into because it's just like ongoing speech chat.
Perfect. I'll do that. Let me make a note real quick. I've really enjoyed Teams as I've worked with it recently. It's really nice. All right. Perfect. And then just as an update for the CSP effort, I know we met with Brenda last week. Diana and I actually have a meeting tomorrow because we've been working on the workback schedule for the CSP migration. My guess is there'll be at least one other meeting with either in this week or next week. My guess is probably next week. I know that Cindy had mentioned that she wanted to follow up with a group of partners, and I know Diana's owning most of the communications around work, reaching out to them and getting their feedback or setting up a call to get their feedback about MPC. Yeah. But I'm just trying, like I said, still with in mind, I've got about 10 days left, so just wanting to make sure that I'm helping out in any way that I can. And part of that actually is making sure that the workback schedule is consistent with what we've kind of identified as best practices, consistent with what Sophie said, which is obviously a best practice, and then it's being brainstormed around as well in addition. So I didn't know if you had anything on your calendar that I didn't, or if you had something in mind that you wanted to do specifically with Cindy and CSP stuff. But
no, the last meeting we had was the Thursday meeting about that transition, and so I don't think there's been communication since then. She did. I feel like I maybe spoke with her briefly in the hall, but I'll just follow up on the smell from the meeting from last week, and should we plan a sync before
schedule something, or it might be nice to have some type of communication before then, because there's nothing on the calendar. Okay, that sounds good. I'm just scanning my calendar really quick. I don't think there's anything that came through. Okay. Inspire 365, that's still paused. That'll also go in my process documentation as a ongoing kind of item that will need to be picked up, I'm sure, in H2. But it's not currently a priority. I know it's paused right now. We're focusing on the packs with
Christopher.
Both
of those items with Christopher.
Perfect.
Yeah, so this actually was discussed in Ed Council last week, but there's a big need to back with Christopher and Lisa Harper, who's the executive director of Inspire from the Microsoft Events team, to get these actions moving. But in connection with that, Kathy and I were talking about this last week with both Karen and John's team. And there's a lot of lessons learned we need to grab from
with Ignite.
A meeting that I scheduled, but I think Anna's calendar was really tight, so I can't remember when I scheduled it for.
Was it 11:30 next Tuesday? Learnings from Tech Community plus my Ignite?
That's it.
Okay, cool.
That's exactly it.
Cool.
So taking a lot
I saw that come through, and I had clicked that I would be there. So perfect. And then sounded like you were saying that the PAX 365 is also still paused.
No, the action on some of these pieces is from Christopher to provide information. Like, there was supposed to be a communication that went out to all the partners that attended the PAX saying, hey, here's the location, join MPC, then request access to this group. Christopher has a list of partners and the list of the PAC leads that I've asked him for a couple different mails, which he hasn't given to me. But there's that, and there's some action on his end, so I think the pestering reminders will.
Because there isn't content in those areas currently on MPC. Cool. I just want to make sure you knew that.
Content should be generated by the PAC leads and the partners.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, that might be an item still that will be in progress once I transition out, so I'll make sure that it goes on my process documentation. Obviously, you know about it, but if it's written down, it's going to feel a little bit better and more complete for me. So same thing, community playbook, I sent that back over to you last week to send out. The latest is posted to SharePoint. The only thing that needs to be updated in that is the community structure area, which is currently reflecting the current community structure and will change once the new design comes out. So I'll make a note that edit needs to be made for it to be as relevant as it needs to be. Other than that, everything else is up to date. And then for the global support stuff, I was hoping to get as much information as you felt comfortable sharing about kind of how that's going. And then just made a note I'm going to pass over the branding again for that onboarding deck on the 21st or by the 21st before I leave, so it's at least up to date not in terms of content. The content will also need to be changed though, because it has stuff about the structure of the website that will be different when the redesign hits. So I'll make a note of that needs to be updated to be as relevant as it needs to be for it to be a good tool.
Yeah.
How's it going with Paul?
Paul who?
Yeah.
So he has not delivered on what he said the 2 weeks or so he said he's going to deliver on. So there's just a further action that's going to roll up to his manager and I'm
sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry that's happening. Yeah, but frustrating still nonetheless. Okay, cool. That covers off on open items. I wanted to move in more to the events calendar now. So I changed the view to add in, one more click. There we go. I changed the view and added in the month of January, just so we're clear. We had, like I said, the fortunate kind of ability and situation to have all those things already solidified. So that's really good. We've got Kensai for January thought leadership. The posts have been made. Amplification requests have gone through. We have the AMA. And then I also just put the newsletter up. I don't know kind of how you'll want to do that once I'm gone, but it's at least reflected as being sent out on the last day. But if you're kind of changing it with the quarters or something, then we can change that as well. Cool. And then I updated, this will just be kind of a quick breeze through, I updated as, I have it as missed, but it's pretty much canceled since I didn't have a cancel section for the key, but that's pretty much what we're doing. Thought leadership, everything is complete, information has been posted, and then we'll just have to make additional amplification posts for those episodes. But at least we have most if not all the information of who's going to talk and what they're going to talk about, which is good news for us.
Yep.
Same thing with the AMA. 19th of December is John. The 30th is Jennifer. I was going to say Melissa again. What is wrong? Cool. And then I have as next steps for all of our low-hanging fruit communities to determine follow-up action, but we just talked about that. So the follow-up action will be I'll just post into that team's location, and then you're going to respond to Rowdy. So that's the same for all of those. And then wondering a little bit kind of where we're at with these communities. I know that you talked about wanting that language requirement, that at least that they were requesting. Is there any way that I can, make the locations on MPC or do anything?
That's what we talked about last week during our meeting with Michael and Austin's, that you and Austin's were going to take an action item to create the other 13 areas very similar to the UK Partner Zone?
Yeah, but wondering if we needed to add anything underneath those, like the countries, or if as long as they're just made, is that kind of the extent of it? That was kind of my follow-up question.
The kind of boards or forums or whatever that can be, and there's like UK Partner Zone or Western Europe Partner Zone, and then general discussions and whatever, like just as so there's one.
It'll probably just be general discussion to start. Events as well?
Yeah, somebody was asking about that. Somebody from one of the countries. I can't remember.
Okay, let me just make sure that's up there. Because I'm thinking about, hold on, I had too many thoughts.
That was beautiful.
Really?
Yeah.
Can everybody make it in?
Sweet Jane?
Did she say she's on the wait list to go?
Oh, she was like,
you were going to try to like smuggle her.
Bring my baby and I'm not
coming.
No, we didn't really.
That's fine.
Lovely picture. Oh, yeah, here's my teammates, Emily and Teresa. This picture is bad. Oh, there's Jermaine.
You're wearing a shawl? Is that a lace shawl?
Uh-huh.
I like it.
So
That's cool.
Emily is our content strategist, and Emily does PRNs, our email newsletters to partners.
Yeah.
Partner mailing. And then a couple of our other team members weren't there. Oh, and we did a caricature. They had a caricature.
They're going to be framed in your dining room now.
It's on my kitchen counter right now.
That looks like Jermaine.
Right. It looks just like him. Just like him.
Cool. Okay, so that's good feedback. I know that we were talking about making an events widget and applying that for a board-specific kind of location. So I wasn't sure if making the events page was going to kind of step on the toes of that. I don't know when that would be rolled out or what exactly it would look like. So it might be nice just to have the events location anyway.
Nav has a kind of coming in the pipeline action item to teach everybody on our team and at council how to utilize the Microsoft Events tool.
Cool.
They're very about letting it go. But now she's worked with that team to get an integration into partner website, so that there are events that are pulling from Microsoft Events page that are pulling through the partner website, so it looks like it's in the partner website, but it's really just feeding from the events. And so that might be something for future or integration elsewhere. So we're having those conversations.
Okay, that's cool. Yeah, that'll be a nice, helpful tool, hopefully.
Kind of a thing. And actually, some of these communities, how they're listed, were kind of turned around. So Kathy and I, in preparation for the joint team meeting we had last week, went through and added in additional information on some of the progress of these different areas and communities based off of that 3-day workshop that Karen led, and then all of the people are in there as well.
Okay, nice.
Talking to them. There's a couple ones, like I know who this person was.
Germany?
Wait.
Or for France?
For France. I put his name in the wrong.
Was it, I was going to say, is it another Julian? Because the other one was Julian too, did you know that? But it was spelled differently.
Very common name, apparently. I put that in the wrong place for some reason. Oh, wait, no, undo. No, that wasn't the right place. Hold on. I'm pretty sure we know this person is from Canada. She's been part of a couple of events and calls on MPC. I have to go back and find her name.
Yeah, the one who's on MPC now. Her name's Andrea Castillo. Yeah. Castillo. Castillo. Castillo.
What? CAS.
Tillo.
Put an I instead of it. Or A instead of it. 2 L's?
2 L's, yeah.
I put A instead of an I. Okay.
Gotcha.
And then, so there's a couple more, but several of these folks have followed up, like as an example, the Australia group. So Rachel's manager, whose name is Natalie, she goes by Nat, she attended the workshop, and she sent this big follow-up afterwards. So the 3:30 meeting today, which I think I invited you to, is with those the Australia group about their migration. But I can't remember. I think I added you to that meeting.
I don't have it on my calendar.
Maybe I didn't add you to that meeting.
Add me to the meeting.
Maybe
I do not have it.
I probably added or took Karen off because she was on the follow-up.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I'll add you to this one.
Sweet.
But anyway, so that's just an update on that. I can share these slides with you.
That would be great, actually, if you don't mind. Cool. Well, that covers off on our normal items. I want to move more into the specialty things that we have to talk about today. They're specialty, but they're not special. Or maybe they are special. So this is the process documentation structure. Here's the printed out version. I'd love for you to take a look at this kind of on your own time and think about it. You could write some notes down, all kind of in the name of making sure that I'm tracking to all the right categories, that all the information is there, and then it's complete. So you can see it's up here as well, but I've got a page for the project, just intro. This is going to be where a lot of the main resources live that we use. So SharePoint, Power BI page, LSI, it'll have a brief description there. I actually thought about adding the recording into the one that we're going to capture next Friday, or this Friday, excuse me. That might be a good place for that to live as well, just as because it's going to be primarily instructional. And then I have buckets 2, 3, and 4 that are mapping to my categories on open items, which kind of separate my overall responsibilities into about 3 categories: digital event management, community website management, and then communication materials. So under digital event management, I have 3 tabs, or I guess buckets, categories, whatever you want to call them, pages around one around Thought Leadership Series, one around Ask Me Anything, and one around the Takeover. And then for community website management, that's more what we expect the global support folks to do. That'll be answering questions, tracking questions, and just being on the website. And then number 4 is some of the communication materials that have been developed or at least updated. So the newsletter, the playbook, and then I actually was going to add in the status report slide too, at least include those, and then talk a bit briefly about what they were for, kind of. And then for the 5th one, it was supposed to be capturing like ad hoc or a good word that Aaron used was like seasonal. So that would include Inspire stuff, all that prep that we did, including some of those deliverables that we made, like the one-pager. It'll include our Inspire 365 initiative for the website, which we kind of are currently navigating, and then the PAX stuff as well. And then hopefully kind of run over that again and see if there's anything that I missed that was more ad hoc, something that I'm not doing on a regular basis, but at least is going to be reoccurring, like Inspire stuff.
Yeah, and the other thing I thought about was just the creation of communities. So, somebody, X person wants to create a new community around this. So this is really what I want to see at the Friday meeting as
Exactly,
well.
yeah, I saw your agenda.
The actual step-by-step of this, because I think this will fit into number 3 as well. And then especially as the different partner zones are like, oh, now I want to add a country page, or now I want to add these different things. So I think that will be a really important element to get there.
Yeah, and I can write that down too, in addition to having the recording that we talk when we talk about it on Friday. Cool.
Yeah. Anything you can think of, Kathy?
No, I think this is pretty inclusive of all the stuff that we had talked about in the past, at least for now.
Well, if you think of anything particular that's something you would want to know, or that you think would just be good that I've missed, feel free to ping me, email me, or talk to Keisha or something. Contact me.
Sounds good.
Cool. Yeah, and if you wouldn't mind thinking about it maybe a little bit more, and then we could maybe talk this week or later when we talk on Monday. Like I said, I'm planning on showing you the actual documentation on Monday, which will include a lot of the content. I don't necessarily expect for you and us to read it, the whole thing, during that time, but it'll at least be kind of a glance over, and then a couple days to read through it, and then make any edits or changes in those last couple days before I'm out on the 19th.
And I imagine I can see several parts in here that will have like different screenshots or specific URLs, that sort of thing.
Exactly, yeah. So I'll have that, and then links to all of where all those things live on the SharePoint as well.
Perfect.
Cool. Sounds good. All right, and then my next question was, I'll just touch on briefly before finishing up on the last item. It's about kind of roll-off communication. So the reason I thought of this is because I was emailing Nicholas back. He was the one who asked about embedding videos on the portal. We made that location from an MPC. And I thought, since his work is paused, but I might need to support him later on when he asks for it, and that might be a time when I'm gone.
Yeah.
I started thinking about how you would maybe best think it would be appropriate to start communicating that I'm rolling off. Maybe to whom, whether or not you think I should own that or you should own that, kind of like a mass email to, like Austin, Sophie. Kind of the group. Perfect. So it would be Austin's,
Okay.
I didn't know if you wanted me to contact some of the people who I've communicated with in the past, like Andrea. She's the owner of the Canada Partner Zone. It might be good. Akansha might be good as well. So what I started to do was actually write down the communities that we already have established and who's in charge of them. I don't know if like John Mile, if that was someone that you wanted. And then past that, there aren't really people that I communicate with regularly other than this open item that I have with Nicholas about supporting the YouTube and video embedding, stuff like that. One thing that rolled through my head, I don't know if this is a good idea necessarily, but some type of oof thing where it pinged an email response in like the last week, and it would say that I don't know, that might be too much because it would obviously kind of go to whoever emailed me.
Right.
Usually we set up, so your V dash, I'm sorry to jump in.
No, go ahead.
Well, experience rolling people off Microsoft. Usually we have some kind of an announcement that we can draft, you can send out, or you can draft an announcement just to say, hey, heads up, support is changing as of this date, don't reach out to TJ, that kind of thing. And then based on the end date for his VDash, which would likely be December 28th, for whatever that week or so is, I think you're going to be done on the 21st as you head into the holidays.
Yes,
so then for that week of Christmas, it would, hi, thank you for your mail. I'm no longer supporting Keisha Jackson. If you need anything around MPC, please reach out to So it's just kind of that week of overlap before
I didn't
the
think about
VDash
that.
goes away.
Yeah.
And then as if anything does roll into his spur email, which hopefully it won't, but it might because you were in your spur email for a long time.
I was going to say,
Yeah.
I field a lot of those in my
If
spur
anything
email.
rolls in, then there's just a canned response of thank you so much, and it's a quick reply from you, looping Keisha, and then back to that person.
Yeah. Okay.
Perfect.
Nice. That was easy. Yep. I liked it. Yeah. Cool. Cool. Just like I said, I just wanted to ask about it just because it came up in my mind as I was talking with Nick today.
Do you want us to draft his transition mail for you to send, or do you want to just throw a quick couple notes down about?
I'll do it.
Okay. Great.
Cool.
New folks coming
in. Yeah. Awesome. That covers that. And so the last thing I want to talk about was the messaging around the redesign. I know I talked with you about that last Monday and was going to come today with some ideas, and I have some ideas. So the first idea that I had was pretty straightforward. It's really similar to what we did with GDPR, was just to update the banner and have it up for a little while. Obviously, when people get on MPC, they're going to notice that things are different. But it might be nice to have a little call out of like, hey, I know things are different. And then what I thought might be a good idea is actually pointing to some resources from that post that would help people navigate the website. So things that I thought of that we could do would be like a website demo. And this would just be like a really short recorded video that we can post on MPC and then link to in the banner that would kind of just give a brief overview about how to interact with the new website. I thought we could possibly do some type of Ask Me Anything, not in replacement of anything that we do already. Obviously, we have January and then very soon February to figure out, but something along the lines of just like, what's new? Or like how to use the website, something like that, where we could maybe make a brief presentation. This actually just might be the demo in the first 20 minutes or so, and then we answer some questions afterwards, but also encourage people to post questions. I thought we could also do it in ideas if we wanted. So once the change is rolled out, ideas will be functioning as well. And we can just say, for the first bit, we're going to use this as a place to field questions about the website. The other thing that I thought of, and Aaron provided a really good kind of clarification of this, is if we end up doing either of these two, either together, like what I kind of suggested there, or website demo by itself, we could distill some of this content and create an FAQ. And that would be a permanent document that lived on the website for a little while, and then once people got really familiar and comfortable with the structure and the setup and the navigation, that they could do that. Some of the content that I thought that might be included in the either like a presentation in the what's new before we answered questions, or just for the website demo, could be, so this is just like overall layout, and talk a lot about like branding, since we made a lot of our changes with the MPN website in mind. I thought we could talk about navigation. So this would just be like parts of the presentation, or structure, and then the last one might even be ideas, where we talk about ideas, since we want people to start using this, and this will be part of the redesign. The banner is obviously really easy to do. That was easy for us for the GDPR as well. But I thought it might be nice that if in that banner it kind of made reference to something along these lines that might also include content of this kind. Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah,
that's kind of where my mind went.
Yeah.
I just think there'd be a really cool opportunity to get people excited about it. The redesign's really cool. All the screenshots we've seen have been pretty impressive, and I think it would be
and
cool.
their demo or their prototype is really nice too.
Yeah, I just think it would be
Limited
kind of
with-
cool. Yes.
Yeah.
What do you think about this? Do you think these are things that, or maybe what combination of things you think would work the best? All, none?
And I think it would be nice if we have some kind of partner B group or something where it's like, oh, we have a deeper conversation with these 12 partners or 10, 12 partners, whatever, maybe some of the influencers or something, and then have them kind of bounce around in the website, like, hey, can you spend an hour over the next week bouncing around in the new redesigned MPC, and then give feedback from the partner perspective of what you think partners need to know, or how to best utilize this website, or what are the standout things you would want to tell other partners. And then it would be nice to get their feedback and see how they view either the content of what we're thinking of, oh, this would be great to tell partners, but they're like, oh, actually these things, or it's easier to do this thing now that someone's in there and using it. And so maybe I could get together 8 or 12 partners that would be willing to give their time to check it out and then give the feedback.
Okay.
And I would just want to do that in advance of
all this.
Yeah.
Totally makes sense.
Yes.
Because that could also inform some of your messaging. That's what I wrote down there.
Yeah, gotta use these partners more.
Totally. And actually, the influencers might like it too.
Yeah.
It'd be a great idea. It's an awesome idea.
They're special things.
Yeah. Cool. So obviously not a lot of this stuff really matters until the design actually happens, the redesign actually happens. And then it's just kind of a matter of coordinating. I had thought about drafting something around here, but it seems really straightforward since it'll be obvious that things have changed. And my thought was like, hello everyone. Obviously you've noticed or something, I don't want to be that informal, but please go ahead and explore the new changes that we've made to our design for a demo and an FAQ on the new features. Head here. Yeah. So I wanted the banner probably to be in tandem with some of these things that we've made, and maybe actually do these things before we post a banner. What do you think about that? Or use the banner as our advertisement for like an upcoming AMA or a demo or something like that.
This is interesting. I actually think about this how if it goes live and anybody and everybody can see, but we haven't, or we're like, oh, can I wait for this week from the feedback from the partner V team?
Yeah.
And there could be a delay. I wonder if there's, I'm gonna ask Michael and Austin's about this, as if there's a a week in advance we could just have, or 3 days or whatever time period, this partner V team go in and play around with the site, then give feedback before it goes live. Yeah. Or else it kind of doesn't make sense for the partner V team or what they'd be doing or contributing.
So, sorry guys, I have to drop, but I'll talk to you guys later.
All right,
thanks,
bye,
Kathy.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
So I'm not even sure how Austin and Michael would be able to do that. It sounds like something that would be in Stage, which would be more work and confusing. We would not want partners to have accounts in Stage, but maybe I'm not sure. Maybe they could have some kind of prototype environment or something. I don't know. But
we can ask them today.
Yeah, it would be helpful to get that partner feedback in advance so that it informs the content of what we put in the banner, how we set up the website demo, AMA, and so forth.
Well, perfect. I love that. I think that's a great idea. I'll take a picture of this and add it into the follow-up for this, just so the ideas live somewhere. But I just had in mind, I think it'd be cool to unveil it in a really special way. Cool. Awesome. Sweet. It's our hour. Okay, so that was mostly everything that I wanted to cover. I wanted to mention that this Friday I'll be traveling back to Spokane. I'm flying, and it'll be kind of during the day around lunchtime, so there'll be about a 2-hour window I'll be offline. I'm planning on putting that on Aaron, and then I was just going to ask you probably your calendar as well, just so you know.
Yeah.
And then I'll have a little oof message during that time as well if anyone emails me, just letting them know that I'll be back online later in the day. But I'll have an official announcement for you on your calendar at the end of today. Yeah, I'm really excited. It's been hard being away from home for so long. I talked to actually Luke, and I told him that I'd been gone from home for like 3 months, and he was like, oh, please. And I was like, I have never lived anywhere else in my entire life. Spokane only.
Oh, please.
And he was like, try being away for a year or something like that.
Oh, gosh.
But
this is a competition, sir.
Yeah.
Exactly. You're like, I didn't realize we were competing.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Did you have anything else for me? Anything?
No.
We've got our 2 hours next Monday. I told you, so we'll cover most of the normal stuff, and then we'll go through the process documentation. And then anything else that you want me kind of on my radar for that, or?
A couple updates I'll share with you
Yeah,
in
cool.
regards to community migration.
Cool.
We'll go back to that spread. I will send this to you as well.
Okay.
So from that meeting, that 3-day workshop, there's been several conversations with different digital leads.
Okay.
So there's the conversation with Australia Today that I think I need to so forward to you.
Okay.
Let me just do that now before
Okay.
I'll start doing something and then I'll be like, ooh, fly. Okay.
Perfect.
So Rachel and Natalie will
Yep.
be on that call.
Awesome.
And then, okay, great. The U.S. sub, I've had several conversations with them, and so I'm presenting at their offsite on
Yeah, you mentioned that.
Friday.
Cool. Yeah, actually, Karen, I saw Karen on Friday, and she told me that too. So.
And then let's see, in India, China, and Japan. I think we're like eager to do follow-up meetings. I've had several communications with people in Western Europe about setting up a partner zone for them, which is all of this just to say why I wanted you and Austin to set up all of those partner zone areas for each of the A14. Obviously, Canada and the UK already have theirs. And then...
Oh, that's actually interesting. Do you want me to should I put UK zone in Western Europe when we make it?
Nope.
Or do you want it by itself still?
It's separate.
Perfect.
Yeah. People in the UK will lay out bodies. Nope.
Okay, just asking.
Yeah, separate. And then the people in the Middle East and Africa, I've had a couple conversations with the person that was on site at that 3-day workshop, and I had a phone call with another person. With actually, I did see a follow-up from him, and they're eager to set up there.
What was the last one you said? Sorry, past Middle East and Africa, or was that about Middle East and Africa?
That was about
okay.
Middle East and Africa. Yep.
Okay.
So that's like half of the A14, which is great.
Okay.
Active engagement and conversation.
And have you had another meeting with Fred and or Steve about the language stuff?
Yes.
Okay.
I think so.
So you had one since we talked. You had not. We talked on Monday, and you told me that you met with them. This was last Monday.
Okay.
Did you have anything in this last week with them? Okay.
I was supposed to meet with them today at 9 a.m. with the development team from Hyderabad. They were in town.
They're the ones that are going to do the language thing, maybe, Hyderabad? Okay, cool.
And then, not Fred, Steve emailed me late last night and said their schedule changed and they had to cancel.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So that's that. But I know that the budget for that was much higher than Karen was anticipating.
Yeah. I remember you telling me those numbers. And then what about Latin America? I had a note from last time that you said that they were trying to migrate their blog to the partner website.
Yes.
Cool.
And so I did speak with that person a few weeks back, and then I'm waiting for some further communication. I know he was looking at some other channels to get the blog migration going. Nav had pointed us to some resources for subs that want to do that. There's actually a process to do it through the partner website, and so I gave him that information. He was thrilled about it, and he still wanted to start a community within MPC.
Okay.
But he's still looking at the language aspect.
Totally, which is understandable. That you just can't have that. Most of the content on MPC right now is in English, and if you can't access that, then it's just not helpful.
Right. And there's a different community that is focused on Surface and M365 for partner, and that person reached out to Anna Chu before she connected me with that person.
Okay.
Then we had a meeting a couple weeks ago, but then I saw he added you to the meeting as well. It's Friday at 10 o'clock. It's tech community for Surface and M365 partner discussions.
Yes.
And I have to remind him again, like, no, it's a partner community. But initially he was looking through the tech community and saw the setup there, and Anna directed him.
Did you see, I didn't even look at this, so maybe not, maybe it's a dumb question, but the email meeting from Sandy Rivas?
Yes.
What is that?
So from that roundtable from September, it's a follow-up to that. So it's just like, let's do virtual monthly follow-ups. You remember that all-day meeting?
Yeah, it was like half day.
Yeah,
and
half day, yeah.
like 12 to 5 or something like that. Okay, that was that. Okay. I was actually going to ask you, so this is kind of some sneaky info. Do you know if I get...
being recorded, right?
Do you know if I get, and it's just going to go for a while. Do you know if I get the access to the store as a V-Dash?
No idea.
Okay. It's been talked about a little bit, and I was just wondering.
Okay. It's just like, I don't know what you're going to say.
Oh, nothing bad. Nothing bad. Yeah.
But don't forget, this is being recorded.
Yes, you're so funny.
We have a kidney in a bag outside. Okay. What are you talking about?
What?
I don't know.
Merry Christmas.
Yeah. Cool.
I watched Home Alone recently. Keep the change, filthy animal.
Gotcha. That's so funny. It's a classic one.
My thing I do the day of Thanksgiving, I watch Home Alone.
Nice.
And then a couple days later, I watch Home Alone 2. And then
Nice.
I'm due to watch Home Alone 3.
Do you have a Christmas movie?
Yes, Home Alone.
No, but I mean, like, because you're watching, you said around Thanksgiving. You said you've already
yeah,
watched.
yeah.
Well, so that's not around Christmas.
I'll watch it again later.
Okay.
I keep watching it.
My family does White Christmas.
Okay.
That's a Western tradition. It's a great one.
What about Die Hard? That's a Christmas movie.
Christmas movie. I've actually never seen Die Hard.
Oh, the original?
Yeah.
You should watch it. It's a great Christmas movie.
You're so funny.
That's so right.
I remember hearing someone having some argument about that at Spur, actually, whether or not it was a Christmas movie. Okay, well, cool. That's everything that I have for us. Sounds like we've got a pretty good idea about what we're going to spend our time doing next Monday. If you think of anything else that you want me to prepare in advance of that, please let me know. My focus of next week will be process documentation, getting that all cleared up, at least taking Tuesday through Friday to make any changes if I need to, having that ready, and then just covering up on any other tasks that I have in terms of open work during that week. Obviously, that's the week of the AMA and everything, so...
Mm-hmm. Did anybody besides myself email you about Friday's meeting about different items for the agenda?
You emailed me, but no one else did.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. So I loved your agenda, and it was actually very comprehensive, and it included stuff that I had also thought of. Outside of that, the only thing that I could think of on top was the information we talked about today, the updates that I made to those blades. Mm-hmm. That might be an opportunity to share that info as well. So I had that thought this morning. So I'll take another stab at it and then come back with something for you on by Thursday end of day. So we're just clear on the agenda, and then we'll roll through that. I'm just going to have Austin's kind of be there in the background to add any extra info or provide any extra stuff like that. But for the most part, I'll probably just own that. And I actually got to set up a call and recorded it with Kathy recorded it about the tagging, because she was coming back to me with just individual requests. So I just thought it'd be nice to teach her how to do it. Yeah. So that one has been passed off, which is nice. And then I can just go over it again. And then obviously, like you said, how to set up a new community.
And she has the recording.
Yes, for that. Okay. Yeah. So she just said, "Hey, do you mind if I record?" And I said, "Of course, obviously."
Great. She's sharp.
She is. That's going to be in the recording, so right. Don't say anything bad about Gabby. Cool.
Alrighty.
All right, let me take a picture of this. Like I said, I'll follow up and send it to you.
You might not have an answer for you. So I was just talking with Cindy before I came in here, Cindy Park, and one of the things she keeps coming back to on the migration is who's going to be approving all of these members. And part of it is that she, in their Yammer network, has run into a big bottleneck where some of their admins were just not doing anything, and there's like thousands of people waiting to get access to this community. So she's envisioning this same type of bottleneck if we're moving thousands of members over to MPC. Are we creating all of these accounts? Are each of them creating their own accounts? She has a lot of detailed logistical questions. Like literally, I think wants a field guide to step one, do this, step two, do that.
Like the community playbook.
Right.
An example, yeah. So I think we've had this conversation a couple of times, and I like really want to collaborate with her and get clear on it. So when somebody goes in and is like, oh, this content is over here on Yammer, now I'm creating a profile, I'm a partner, I'm creating a profile in NPC, and they're just a member of the partner community, which is free, open, easy to use. Then if they wanted to, specifically go to the CSP Direct community, and this is where I think I'm not clear, and I maybe should circle back with Cindy. Does she want that CSP Direct community and the CSP Indirect community to be closed private communities?
I believe so, yes.
Yeah, that was what
so that's how they're currently set up on Yammer, and part of that is because of file sharing and information sharing that's going on.
So then in that case, is it Diana that's been going in and approving all of them? Ooh. But didn't they make reference to other community admins as well?
So there are like 8 or 9 network admins, and it turns out none of them have been doing anything. And then there's different private group admins for the direct and indirect communities, or the groups, excuse me. The groups and the networks, it's like, it's all interchangeable wording, but it's not. So she is looking at the bottleneck that's been happening on Yammer, and then wondering, because it's been sort of a slow trickle through, and so, yep, we'll approve these people a little bit at a time. She's, I think, wondering if there's some kind of functionality so that there's an easy way to flip everybody over and say, great, today you have access to this private group on Yammer, tomorrow you have access to this private group on private community on MPC.
To my knowledge, it still has to be the community manager that is clicking approve on every one of them, and the community manager of the CSB, various communities would know, like, oh, the following people are approved.
So they'd basically be comparing the list, the member list from one to the other and going, are you here? Okay, great, you can be here. Okay, and then my follow-up question is, with the two FTEs coming in and taking over some of the community support, do you anticipate there will be any bandwidth from those folks to help out with some of this type of tactical transition type stuff, or is that 100% on Cindy's community manager?
I think there will be, especially at the beginning, because the number of communities isn't like astronomical or overwhelming at this point. Mm-hmm. If we were, we have 70 communities at this point, like the tech community, then we'd be in a different situation. But I think that those folks will have the bandwidth, and it will probably be a good ramp up to just all up community management if they were doing something of that nature.
Okay.
But then it goes back to the same issue of they would need some type of, here's the full and complete list of approved partners.
Right.
Yeah.
One thing I just thought of, so there's two functions that you can use to add people into groups. The first is them requesting access and then granting it, and you can also proactively add people.
Oh yeah, you can bulk add people. So you can export your list from Yammer and then like bulk import it.
So I don't know about that, because you'd still need them to sign up, like to make a profile on MPC. So the thing that I thought that we could do is that you can filter people by role. So there's certain roles that give you access to certain things. You have your admin or your regular user. We have a role just for getting access to LSI. So if there was some way that we could give people a role, everyone in CSP who registered, I don't know necessarily how we would do this, or there's some functionality things that I don't know, but then what you could do is you could filter by that role and capture all 6,000 or 10,000 people who sign up, and then put that into the to line of the request to join the group. But I don't know how there seems to be in my mind no way to avoid some menialness to it, because then you'd still have to go in and assign people those roles, because the role you get when you sign up is just registered.
Right.
Which everyone gets. And so you can't filter by that because everyone does that. One thing I thought of is if we had them like sign up as their username and had like a -1 or something at the end of it, and then asking Austins if you can search by that, massive grant a role, and then massive populate. But you'd still need everyone to come in and sign up. Mm-hmm. There's no way to, and that's something we've dealt with in the past with the UK zone. They ask the same thing. If we could just bring everyone in, and we can't. They have to sign up individually and then get access. Mm-hmm. The only other thing I thought of too is if we had like the group open at first, and then you didn't have to approve anyone, but then you'd still have to go back in and make sure that whoever was there once you made it closed was allowed to be there. Mm-hmm. Okay. So it's clunky.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's good info.
Yeah.
Maybe we can do a couple of ideas and questions on the call at 3.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
Michael just emailed and said he's in an off-site, so he can't join, but we can ask and vet the ideas with
Austin's, yeah, and Austin's might even know more about this than Michael.
Very likely.
Okay.
Cool. Awesome. Thank you.
So let me end the recording.
Yes. End that recording.